Hi, I'm Dana Micucci. As a longtime journalist and author, I've had the great privilege of traveling all over the world to explore the wisdom traditions of many different cultures. And that led to the publication of my last book, which was Sojourns of the Soul, One Woman's Journey Around the World and Into Her Truth. And I was greatly privileged to have won a gold medal for that book in the Nautilus Book Awards. And what I realized through my explorations of all of these various cultures, their ancient esoteric teachings and practices, is that so many of them led me back into my heart center. And that really became the launching pad of many of my talks and events that I do around the country. One of the most popular ones is called Embodying the Wisdom of the Heart. And that is so apropos to my current novel, which has just been released, called The Third Muse. It has been a very long work in progress, a labor of love, and there are many, many different layers. It's a unique novel in that it's really a hybrid of history, spirituality, suspense, and mystery. And what it is about is the return of a divine feminine consciousness at this age of a new renaissance that we're going through. And that is about living most fully and completely in and through our hearts. At the center of the novel is Lena Leone, a New York journalist. She is beautiful, she's successful, she has a devoted boyfriend, and yet something is missing. How often have we all had that feeling at one point or another in our lives? When Lena's editor, Max, sends her on an assignment to investigate and write about a stolen Renaissance masterpiece, she is in for more than she could ever have imagined. This assignment takes her so deeply into her heart and soul, it causes her to really face herself in a way that she had never done before, to examine her beliefs and perceptions and her entire way of being. She becomes immersed in a dangerous art scandal, which tests her to the core and jeopardizes her life, and then she begins to have haunting visions of the woman in the painting, who is Giovanna Tornabuoni. She is investigating the art scandal around this alleged stolen painting, the Portrait of Giovanna Tornabuoni by the Renaissance master Ghirlandaio. Giovanna begins to reach out to Lena through time and begins to teach her many of the Renaissance ideals and goddess teachings that were actually alive in the Renaissance that we have studied about in school. This, like our time, was also a great time of change and rebirth, where people were re-examining who they are, why they're here, what is their true mission. And there was a great emphasis on the soul's return to a higher consciousness, to a more expanded spiritual presence in the world through its connection with what they called back then the absolute, which in our language today is Source, the creative, God. We have different names for it. So really at the center of this story is the timeless quest for wholeness that we're all on, whether we consciously embark upon that quest or not. And this is explored through the soul connection of Lena and Giovanna, two women 6 centuries apart. I'm hoping that through the Third Muse, that readers will be inspired to live more fully and completely through their own hearts and in their own hearts, to allow their hearts to take the lead in their lives, so that we can all learn how to see with our hearts, to trust with our hearts, to listen with our hearts, to feel with our hearts. It is truly the source of our wisdom, truth, and power. So in the novel, you will discover 7 life-altering initiations that Lena must undertake in order to not only solve the mystery of the stolen painting, but to open to a more expansive love. And one of her greatest teachers throughout this journey is Giovanna and her connection with the goddess archetype, who is embodied as Mary Magdalene. So I also weave in the divine feminine mystery teachings of the Magdalene Order. So in my events and workshops and talks where we go into embodying the wisdom of the heart, we work with the deep ancient teachings and practices of the wisdom traditions of the world, including those of the Renaissance, and also, as reflected in the Third Muse, the divine feminine mystery teachings of Mary Magdalene. So these are all woven together in my talks and workshops, and through these transformational events, in really learning how to embody the wisdom of your heart, you will find very practical results in your own life. So we're not simply talking about concepts, we're talking about a lived, felt presence of these teachings in your life. You, for example, will learn how to center your emotions more effectively, to manifest your goals more quickly, to master your own energy, and to become a healing force through your very presence, are just a few of the transformational outcomes you'll experience through these events and hopefully through my writings and books. I think you will be inspired and enlightened by your reading of this novel. And if you're interested in my events and my other programs, I would like to invite you to visit my website, www.danamicucci.com, and my Facebook page, where I have a listing of upcoming talks and events around the country.